Hey, this is Brian Helton with Brian Helton Realty here in Mount Airy, and I am talking with Van Tate this morning, and he is a candidate for the local sheriff along with three or four other people on the Republican side, I believe, isn't it, Van?
That is correct.
And y'all are having a very spirited campaign. And
Yes, indeed.
But I'll tell you what, I saw all y'all together the other day talking, and it was nice to know that you're not throwing dirt and you're being friendly with each other, and y'all remain friends and shaking hands. Well, Van, I've interviewed some other people, and you know that, and you know this is unscripted, and you also know I don't know a lot about you. So if you got about 30 seconds, you want to tell me about your family, your friends, where you came from, go ahead.
My name is Van Tate. I am currently running for sheriff of Surry County. I am married to former Kimberly Holder. We have been married for 26 years this April. I have two wonderful children, Anthony and Carly, and Anthony is getting ready to graduate from UNC Charlotte, and Carly is a freshman.
Awesome.
In college.
I'll tell you, Van, I talked to one of the other people you're running against, and I'm going to interview another one. And I know they've been here forever, and it's comforting to know that some of the candidates are local candidates and know what it was like in the past and know what they're looking for in the future. And I believe, if I'm correct, you've been here all your life too, hadn't you?
Pretty much. I was born in Kentucky, but my dad was a Navy recruiter, and we retired here. And I've pretty much been here my whole life, other than when I went on the highway patrol. I was stationed in Yadkin County, and then came back to Surry and served the good people here for 15 years as a master trooper, and then was promoted to sergeant. And I can honestly say I've traveled the state.
You've traveled the state,
yes.
And I can honestly say he never stopped me one time for speeding, ever. Some of y'all probably not so fortunate. But anyway, Van, I think it's awesome, and I told you we're going to try to keep this about 10 minutes, and we're at about the 2.5-minute mark right now. So I'm just going to tell you, I don't know much about your policy. I don't know, I've tried to keep my open mind and do these as educational.
Oh, absolutely.
So I'll tell you the things important to me. The drug problem. I think it's also the break-in problem, the school problem, the homeless problem, the unemployment problem. I think it all starts there. But I'm not going to dog you down with that. You tell us what you think we need to know about Van Tate and him being sheriff.
Sure. I was the first candidate to have a 4-point plan. You can visit my website, Van Tate for Sheriff, and you can check out the 4-point plan. It's 4 things, and they're very important, and they're very imperative to myself and everyone, and that's leadership, integrity, transparency, and community policing. Now, the community policing aspect when it comes to the drug issue is that we have to earn the trust of the citizens again. I have been throughout the county, and I've talked to people, and they're just not getting the service they should. They deserve the service, and they deserve a professional delivered service, and that's something we don't have.
I'll tell you the same thing that I've told everybody else. I've got two 14-year-olds and an 8-year-old, and it scares me.
Sure.
And when I have to tell my kid, don't take a piece of chewing gum from somebody at school, unless you absolutely know them, or candy or anything else, it scares me.
Sure.
And, I also know that jails are overcrowded. We're talking about building a new one, but they're overcrowded. People are on a revolving door system, and that's not you. That's the magistrates and the judges and everything else, and I understand that. But, it just makes me nervous. What do you think would be the number one place to start with the drug problem?
The number one place to start is the street dealer. Now, I've talked to people who have said that, I've called the sheriff's office, and they say, well, we really don't want to deal with the little fish. We'd rather have the bigger fish. Well, I disagree with that, because starting with the street dealer, first and foremost, they're the ones that are selling to the children. The opioid problem, we've got a new drug called Gray Death. And if you've pull the dealers off the street. You're gonna, when there's no person to buy from, then the break-ins are going to stop or slow down, because these people who are caught up in the drug problem, they're breaking into homes to look for things to either pawn or looking for money to buy the drug. So we start there, and that's what this community policing program is all about: is earning the trust of the people and working together.
Well, I think that's awesome, and I think all three of y'all have a variation of the community policing thing, and I think that's awesome. I think it's a great place to start. I'll tell you, I'm with you on this. I've always thought that it's kind of ridiculous to go after the big fish, because if you cut off the lifeline to the big fish, they've got to come up and you can see them.
Brian,
And you know who
right.
they are.
Absolutely.
But that's just my personal, that's my personal belief on that. I'm looking really forward to getting, somebody in there who's going to be focused on the kids, and cutting off the kid side of it to start with. Vann, tell me what else you're thinking. There's got to be a little more than the drug side of it. What about the administrative side?
The administrative side.
Go ahead.
We've got to revamp the administrative process in the sheriff's office.
Go ahead.
As sheriff, I will restructure the command staff.
Right.
There will be 3 key people, and that's me, the chief deputy, and the captain of patrol.
Right.
Us key 3 will sit down and we will look at what we need to do. We will look at policy. Right now, the sheriff's office doesn't even have a polygraph program. And that is one thing that will be implemented.
Oh, that's awesome.
Is that each deputy, each new hire will be polygraphed.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that's very important, because I want people who will serve honestly, with integrity, because that's what a professional department needs. There's no integrity anymore. It has been taken away, and I know that. I see it every day.
I feel like it's been taken away just everywhere. I don't feel like, and I'm not disparaging anybody, but I don't feel like elected politicians are being honest with people. But I also don't feel like the person selling you a car or a house is being honest with you. I think integrity is a lost art at this point. And I liked your slogan. I think it's a man of integrity. And I think that's an awesome thing to put up there, to let people know, because if you're going to wear a badge, you also need to wear a badge of integrity too.
That's correct.
And people need to know they can trust you.
That's right.
And they can go out and feel sure. I passed a Surry County deputy this morning.
Wave at you?
Yeah, they did wave at me, believe it or not. Well, I threw up my hand, but they waved, and I thought to myself, there's changes I think are coming.
They are.
Whether it's you guys or whether it's the current administration, but something's got to change.
Sure.
Across the board. But I told you, Vann, we would try to keep this somewhere around 10 to 12 minutes. And, I would like to know just real quick, when you talk about community policing, are we talking about a situation where my personal belief's always been that you prosecute the dealers and you rehab the addicts? Now, is there any kind of plans for that, or is that something, that you don't get into?
Yes, we're going to look at that. As I've went around and talked to people, I will sit down and we will pool a committee together to look at the various problems. If we meet on a monthly basis to see what we can do. I could go in, I could talk to you for an hour on what the plans I've got. And I know we have to keep it short. But yes, we're going to look into that. I'm going to speak about to the district attorney and the chief district court judge. In fact, I've told the chief district court judge, should I win, I want to sit down and talk with him and the DA. And let's come up with a plan to help those that are worth a second chance.
Well, I'm going to tell you what I told your opponent, and what I'll tell your other opponent when I interview them, is I believe that it comes from everywhere, that you've got to have a plan in the schools. You've got to have a plan in the churches. You've got to have a plan in the local community. That we're all going to have to work on this together.
Sure.
I mean, it's gotten too big. It's gotten too out of hand. And if it makes you feel any better, I know you got a lot to say, and so did your opponent when I interviewed him, and I'm sure your next one will too when I do that interview. I promised everybody we could do another one if they want, if they want to, and I just try to keep them short enough for everybody to watch. Well, we're at 10 minutes and a half, and I want you to get all the closing words. So.
Okay.
Shoot from the hip. Tell people what you want them to know.
All right. As you know, I have a 30-year career in law enforcement. That includes the Mount Airy Police Department, the Highway Patrol, and a short stint as an SRO with the Sheriff's Office. It has taken me 30 years to build my integrity. My integrity is unsullied, and I will not waste it on one person. The role of the High Sheriff, and a lot of people don't understand this, is he is to protect the people and their property. He answers only to the people and only to God above.
That's awesome.
That's what I want the people to know. I am the only Eagle Scout running for sheriff. So I learned at a young age in the scouting program what caring for people was and what service was. My family, my dad and my brother are retired from the Central Intelligence Agency with the federal government.
Awesome.
And my mother was a community worker with the Surry County Health Department. So we have at least 110 years of public service to the people of the United States and of this county.
That's awesome. I believe people can start to get a feel for who you are if they watch this. I think you started out explaining. I know there's a lot more, and I apologize. I just try to keep it short enough for people to watch.
I understand. That's right.
And look forward to hopefully you'll sit down and do day 2 with me or something along the way before we get along. But Van, thank you for coming in.
Oh,
man.
Brian, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.